Hey guys, welcome back to Daska Discusses. Today I'm going to be discussing an amazing documentary that I just saw based on the life of Hollywood actor Val Kilmer. Let's do this. Okay, so in terms of the synopsis, guys, as you can see, documentary centering on the daily life of Val Kilmer featuring never-before-seen footage spanning 40 years. Now, the thing is about Val Kilmer is that before I saw this doco, the only thing I knew about him, like his personal life, was I always, for some reason, thought that he had come from some really wealthy family and that's how he made his kind of entrance into Hollywood. That's it, right? But apart from that, I was actually a fan of Val Kilmer, especially if we look at his filmography. Willow is an amazing film. Top Gun, Iceman. Tombstone, Doc Hollywood, he was amazing in that as well. Heat, he had a pretty small role, but it's still good. The Island of Dr. Moreau, not good. But Willow is a film that I grew up watching over and over. And, I mean, I was just amazed at and let's not forget The Doors. Wow. The Salton Sea was not bad too, actually. It goes through his whole life, okay? Now, what's interesting about it is that due to his throat cancer, he can speak, but obviously through a hole in his throat, he's got this, obviously he's got a real problem with speaking, right? So his son is actually doing the narrating of this in terms of like for his dad, if that makes sense. So he's telling his dad's story, but it's as if Val Kilmer's telling us. I didn't know, I've seen a couple of interviews with Val Kilmer in the past couple of years when he's had this issue with his throat cancer, and it is quite sad. And in the film you actually hear him speak, and it is quite confronting, and you really do feel sorry for Val Kilmer. Now, it's not only that he's got the throat cancer, but just the story of his life and him going about it, going through all the different films. It runs through a lot of his films. It goes through in a bit of detail the role that he had in The Doors, Top Gun, a bit of Top Secret, Tombstone. It goes into a lot of detail about that, which I'll get to in a sec. Willow, a little bit, not as much. Enemies of the State, not much either. But the other ones that they talk about are... I mentioned The Doors, yeah. It goes through using this footage that he's got of himself. So he basically used to film a lot of his experiences on set, behind the scenes, and even when he was a kid. So it goes through all this, and you've got his current life as well. But then when it goes in the past, you see a really interesting glimpse of how he was on set and how he got along with everyone. And what I found was, especially in there's his filmography, sorry. What I found was that he was quite a perfectionist in terms of like his method acting routine. Don't forget Batman Forever as well. And what he actually says about some of the films when he was working on them is interesting too. How his role in Batman, he had to take it, yet he didn't actually enjoy the role because he couldn't actually physically act properly because of like the constraints of the mask, and he couldn't actually express himself. And he said that Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones had that actual ability to do that. So that was quite interesting as well. But his roles in like Tombstone and The Doors go into a bit more detail with that. And I think The Doors is one of the best music biopics ever made. Now, I do love Oliver Stone, the director of that. And some people were fans of it, some people weren't. But no offense to Rami Malek, but I could sit there and I could watch Bohemian Rhapsody and watch The Doors, and I just think that The Doors and Val Kilmer's performance beats Rami Malek's in Bohemian Rhapsody hands down, right? The only person that comes close in a biopic for this could be possibly Joel Edgerton in Rocket Man, Elton John. That was really good because they both sang the songs in the movie, whereas Rami Malek didn't. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I just think Val Kilmer is a really underappreciated actor. And it's not because I just saw this documentary. I always thought that. I always thought, what has happened to Val Kilmer, apart from him being ill? But every role that he did take upon, he took it with like 100% like effort, and he went over and beyond, and he may have had some quirky ways of going about portraying his roles, but that's how you get these brilliant actors like De Niro, Pacino, Brando, and he worked with the best, and you can see that in the film. Everyone remembers him mainly as, Iceman, and maybe, Batman as well, but I just think other smaller roles that he had, or even, like I said, in The Doors and Willow, really made him a household name. Now, I think it was a brilliantly well-edited film, documentary. At times there was a bit of like background information about his family, which I was like when he was a kid, which is good. Like, it shows how he had an interest in films, and he used to like make short films. There was some bits about his parents, which, were a bit dragged on a tad, but they're there for, context. I get it. I think where really hit me emotionally this film was when goes down to Texas, and he's is like a kind of like a recreated kind of goes to Tombstone, the town. I think that's where it is in Texas, and he's there as a kind of like a celebrity, saying, they're going to be showing Tombstone on a big screen at night, and he's there signing autographs, taking photos. It could be in the same scene, but there's another scene where he's at kind of like a Comic-Con, where he's taking photos and doing autographs, and he actually starts feeling a bit ill, which is quite distressing to see as well, because he's not well. But what I did find was a quote, well, not exact quote that Val Kilmer says, but something along the lines of, I didn't expect to see myself now at this age, in 2021 or whatever it is, sitting there signing autographs, taking photos, trying to hold on to something from the 80s and 90s, like a washed out type of actor that people were just going to remember from that era. And, you see, and the camera kind of focuses on him, and you hear all those words. You see him, how he's not looking too good, doesn't sound too good either, but he's got this lease on life that he wants to keep going, obviously. But it's just really sad, and it reminded me a lot of a couple of documentaries, one being a couple of films and documentaries, one being the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, how he plays Ram Jam, the old wrestler. And I really love that film, where, again, kind of like a guy that's hanging on to the past, and that had a tragic ending in that film as well. And other things like anything with like Jake the Snake Roberts, the old wrestler from like the 80s and the mid 90s, where he was such a big confident figure in the WWF, WWE, call it now, and what happened to him, the downfall and the rise of him. So I did feel that with this, and it's a shame. I don't know what's going to happen with, the Top Gun sequel, how they're going to use Val Kilmer in that, but apparently he's credited in that. Looking forward to seeing it, but I must say, I really highly recommend this. If you grew up and you're around the same age as me, or you know who Val Kilmer is, and you remember his films, and you're a fan, even if you're not a fan, it's time to just break away from the hold that Netflix and other streaming services and TV shows have got you for now, and just watch something that's a bit that is actually real, that's actually about someone who's been in Hollywood and has gone through this, and then you see how he actually finds out he has throat cancer, and it's quite sad as well. And to see where it led Val Kilmer, but what led him to be the person that he is, I highly recommend this documentary. Really do. The rating I'm going to give it, I'll tell you what, it is just straight off the bat a 9 out of 10 for me. Yep. Boom. They gave it a 7.8, 4.6k. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes, 90 audience, 93 tomato meter. Wow. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's definitely 100% worth a watch. Even if, if you're mixed, if you've got like mixed messages, or not mixed messages, if you've got like, don't know what you're going to watch and you want to watch some sort of documentary, maybe don't watch a serial killer one. Watch something about someone that's real, and you'll be very surprised You'll be very surprised to learn a lot about Val Kilmer that you didn't know, and I was, and I hope everything works out for him. But that's a 9 from me. And here's my dramatic music. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watched. Thank you to the likes and the comments, hopefully. And hopefully you guys subscribe, press the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Dasker Discusses. Boom.